In the spring of 2016, I was involved in a space mission. I don't work at NASA. I don't work anywhere related to space. But the department in the city where I work, we wanted to send a balloon up to the sky. Normally, we are 55 staff members. We work with innovation, technology, and creativity within the city. And now we wanted to make another department where we could actually make some kind of a little space mission. So we created the department ITK Space. Besides our normal tasks, for 2 months, we worked on creating this space mission, creating the balloon. Some colleagues were in charge of logistics. Some were in charge of security, like these guys. Some were involved in building the balloon, creating all the technical equipment. And some reported from the entire process. What we wanted to do here was not just have fun. We wanted to get to know each other. We wanted the colleagues to work together in another way than they normally do. We wanted people to try new things, to take on new assignments than they normally do. And then the day arrived, and we were so ready. We had 3D printed astronauts, Hamilton and Lucy in the sky. The technical equipment was there. We were ready. And we were so excited. Would it work? Would the balloon fly? How far would it go? What kind of data would we get? Would we ever get it again? Would we retrieve it? And as we saw the balloon fly up to the sky, we were so thrilled. We were clapping, we were hugging, we were yelling, yes, we did it. That is an example of what I would like to call collaborative innovation. I believe that it's very, very important that we work together with people with various backgrounds, other normal tasks, with other contexts, with other ideas, in order to make innovation. When I was 29, that's 12 years ago, I got a job at a library. I didn't have a library background. Actually, that was the first day I set foot on that particular library. I had been working with teenagers and in youth clubs. And when I got to the library, I couldn't find one single teenager. I looked around and I couldn't find them. They weren't there. I asked them, why are you not at the library? And they said, why should we be? What's in it for us? Luckily, I got a green light to start figuring out how could we actually make teenagers come to the library. So how should I do that? I talked to the teenagers about this, and they said, Louise, you're too old. You can't do anything. You can't create services for us. So I involved them in it, in the entire process. 5 librarians, a bunch of teenagers. We employed actually 7 teenagers to help us, including all the other ones. We added a lot of partners, and we added crazy people like myself. And for 2.5 years, we developed, we tested, we redeveloped. We made a universe for teenagers in libraries. We had a physical place. We made a caravan that could drive out to festivals. We had young people writing books and portraits about teenagers in Aarhus. We made a project guide so that teenagers could actually get help to realize their own ideas. So we made a universe for teenagers. We tested the rules, we bent the rules, we broke the rules constantly. And we set new rules, new ways of doing things, new ways of being together with the teenagers. This project was the start of the way that I work when I work, or the time when I work. And we were so lucky that this Mindspot, our teenage universe, library universe. It got quite famous in the library sector, both nationally and internationally, because we set new standards. We found out a way to actually be a relevant service for the teenagers. And that made me think that that is the way I need to work. And I've been doing that ever since. So the problem was that the library wasn't relevant for the teenagers. They weren't there, it wasn't relevant. And there's always a chance to be irrelevant in the world that we're living in today, because it changes so rapidly. And we need to do something in order not to be irrelevant. And we see it all over the place, in every sector, the risk of being irrelevant. Digitalization, tighter budgets, make libraries all over the world struggle. What's in it? What can we use our library spaces for, the physical spaces, if we have ebooks? What's the role of a librarian when we have Google? You see it in the cities, when you create smart cities. More people, more traffic, more pollution, more individual demands for what people want from us, from the cities. We struggle with tighter budgets, and we need to figure out how we can be the best possible cities for our citizens. We see it in our educational systems. The technological development makes it even harder for us to be up to date. The skills that we need today and tomorrow are definitely not the same as we needed 20 years ago. So the educational systems have to be up to speed to actually give us the skills that we need. I believe that collaboration is a solution for that. I believe strongly that if you take people, contexts, silos, firms, cities, and mix it, and be open, have an open discourse to everything, try to hear when people ask you questions, then you can actually stay relevant. And I'll give you some examples. When I'm not working in the city, I'm a coding pirate. Coding Pirates, that's an NGO called working with IT creativity for 7 to 17-year-olds. We are a very new organization. Together with a lot of volunteers, we encourage children to get ideas, to create ideas, to build ideas with technology. We are not a coding club, we are IT creativity, because we need our children to know that technology, that is just a tool. They need to know how to actually work with it. I got involved with Coding Pirates when I was a team leader at the library, working with the children and family section, developing the new children and family section at Dock 1. Dock 1 is our new library in Aarhus, an award-winning library. So I could see the relevance to have Coding Pirates at Dock 1. I could actually see the relevance of having it in all libraries, but we didn't have the skills at the library. So my colleagues and I, we created Coding Pirates at Dock 1, and at the same time, we took part in actually creating the organization around a rapidly growing organization, Coding Pirates. And we grow rapidly. 2.5 years after we started, we have 50 departments around Denmark. We have 18 at libraries. We have 5 to come in libraries. We have 1,500 children being a coding pirate every week. We have 600 volunteers, and we have 500 people who are on the waiting list, kids who are on the waiting list. And we grow, and we grow, and we are all volunteers. We are still a place for passionate people, for grassroots. We have no history, we have no rules you can actually question or break. We don't have any of it, and we miss it. We would actually like to have the rules, have some kind of structure that we could question. Is it fun to work in an organization without rules? Yes, it most definitely is. Is it hard to work in a place without rules? Hell yeah, all the time. Do I sometimes feel like I want to leave this place and say no more coding pirates for me? Yes, definitely. Go back to where there are rules, some rules that I can break. So we are working on creating rules for coding pirates. There's a lot of people who want to work with us in Coding Pirates. Cities, libraries, IT firms, etc. And it's because we have made a relevant service, thing that people can actually use and can see the importance of. I have another example. 3 years ago, a colleague of mine, he told me that he had met this guy who wanted to create a festival about play and playfulness. And we invited him to host this festival at Doc 1, or at the previous library at the time. And I completely fell in love with his mission. His mission was that we want play and playfulness all over. Play and playfulness is important for all of us. So I asked if I could join in, and I was warmly welcomed. 3 years later, we are a community, not a very big one, but a global one. We have about 300 engaged people all over the globe who are interested in counterplay. We try to set the agenda that we need play and playfulness in our lives, in our educations, in the way we work, because it simply gives us better lives. Our biggest activity is an annual festival, and we are now planning our 4th festival. In March 2017, we will fill Doc 1 with play and playfulness, the entire Doc 1. We will have morning dancing, we will have singing, we will have music, we'll have Indians running around. We will have a lot of play in this library and citizen service center that we have. We want to bend and break the rules of Doc 1. We want music in the silent sections. We want red noses in citizen service. And we want people imitating each other without them even knowing each other all around the Doc 1. But of course, we need to talk to Doc 1 about how we do that. So we collaborate with the good people of Doc 1 to make a festival where they get a playful place, a playful house for 3 days, and we just push them just a little bit. So I strongly believe that collaborative innovation leaves us relevant, because we always have to change our things just a tiny bit because people ask us why. Why do we actually do that? And because we used to, because we normally do that. So when we collaborate, we can actually tip things, change them, put them upside down to see, is it really relevant what I'm doing now? How can I do that in another way? So what happened to the balloon I was talking about earlier? It flew up into the sky, higher and higher, and then suddenly we couldn't see it anymore. Then we couldn't track it anymore because the battery went out. We had an idea that it would fall down into the sea, so we sent out colleagues in a boat. It went out of petrol. It stormed. They got home empty-handed. We called the local harbor, and the local harbor contacted the fishermen in the area. And a local fisherman, Alan, he fished up our equipment. He put it on a ferry, and 2 colleagues drove for 2.5 hours to pick up our equipment. They drove back to us 2.5 hours, and they were with the rest of their colleagues at midnight, and we were thrilled. The balloon still hanging in our office. We talk about our ITK space mission regularly, because that showed us that we are a unique place. We feel unique when we're working together. But we're still on a mission, not a space mission. We are on a city mission. We try to create relevant services every day by collaborating, by crossing silos, and by going that extra mile and try to work with bend, break rules, or habits. What is a core of all the examples I've given you is that they have a playful approach. Yes, we had fun. We actually had great fun. But there was a lot of seriousness in it as well. But having a playful approach to what we were doing, to the way we were working, to the way we approach each other, that made us go that extra mile to actually make relevant, interesting learning things for all of us projects. So I believe that a playful approach is essential when you collaborate. This is why I here, ending my talk, would like to give you an invitation. I would like to invite you to innovate. But while you innovate, I want you to do it while you collaborate. And I want you to play, have fun, be curious, dare, play when you do it. Thank you.